Alright, y'all, I'm back. I had to go check on my YouTube channel and make sure I didn't already share this story. I don't know if y'all heard that pop. So I want to share another, it's kind of scary, but not really. Actually, I'm gonna try to share a few, just stories. I guess you could consider them scary stories, because what happened is pretty scary, but, they're more like just beginner stories of when I first got into, doing witchcraft and magic, as far as, you know, through ritual and spells and stuff like that. I've always been a natural witch where I just did magic, like energy work, just with my mind. That's how I began, but as I got older and stuff, and then I learned about witchcraft, the practice of it, and all of that, and I first started getting into rituals and all of that. This is like some stories from that time period. It was when I was in high school, like my junior and senior year, and like about the first year after high school, yeah, around that time, yeah. I was getting really deep into dark magic and black magic because it was just like a phase that I went through when I first learned how to harness my power. I really just stood up to a bunch of bullies, basically. And, you know, back then, like, everyone in my life bullied me because I was, like, a really sweet person, with no confidence and, like, nothing. You know, I was like a sheep. So, you know, once I learned how to harness my power and stuff, I really just stood up to bullies, so I don't even really know if I want to call it, you know, an evil phase. But I will say that I was dabbling, not really dabbling, I was like getting into dark magic and black magic really heavily and deeply. I don't dabble in anything, y'all. Anything that I take interest in, I like go, you know, deep into it. But, you know, I was really, at the beginning, you know, the stories I'm fixing to share with y'all, it was from dabbling into dark magic without really getting into studying it too deeply. And it's actually because of the experiences I'm about to share that I ended up really deeply studying it and learning how to master it and stuff. So, yeah, these stories are dabbling stories to begin with. Alright, the first one I want to share with y'all is basically, it has to do with this book, okay? The Simon Necronomicon. A lot of people say that this is just made up, like just completely made up or whatever, but either way, even if it is made up, it's still working with, you know, thought form, egregore spirits. So, I mean, you know, ultimately every religion is made up, every magic and everything. Some witch out there made it up or discovered it. So, if you've never read this book, if you're a beginner, do not mess with this kind of magic. It's really, it's like a crazy type of magic to mess with if you're a beginner. But y'all, it's like based off of the Cthulhu mythos by H.P. Lovecraft. At the same time, though, like there's parts in here where, let me see if I can find that page for y'all. It's like comparing the spirits to the real ones right here. Chart of comparison right here. It says, showing some relationships to be found between the mythos of Lovecraft and the magic of Crowley and the faith of Sumer, which is like Sumeria. And it just shows how the beings that Lovecraft used in his stories are actually correlating to real spirits, okay? So even though they use the names, these Sumerian names in this book, it's also correlates to Lovecraft's work and Crowley's, okay? So they're real spirits, regardless if they use made-up names or whatever. But anyway, one of my first, like, scary experiences with magic, with black magic, was messing with this book, y'all. At that time, I was not really like a master of any kind of magic yet. I was just getting into it and stuff, and I had a friend who, he'd been like a Wiccan for a few years, but to be honest, he was not any kind of master witch either. He was still relatively new to it as well. And we used to hang out all the time and learn magic together and practice and all that. And there was a lot of pops just now at once. And we ended up getting a hold of this book and, you know, just dabbling with it. I found a spell in here. It was called The Conjuration. Where is it? This one, The Great Conjuration of All the Powers, and I found that in here, and I was like, okay, let's do the spell, and, you know, get some power going, get some power, you know. So, he came over, you know, we set up some candles and stuff. We were in my room. No one was home. It was just me and him, and I was like, let's do this. Let's get this, you know, let's get us some dark power going. So we start reading this conjuration, and we're just like sitting on my bed. He had his back to the window, and I was sitting on the other side of the bed, and we were just reading that, like, where I would say a line and he would just repeat it. And we just went through like about half the spell like that, and we got to a part where I did not know how to pronounce these names correctly. So I just like winged it and just said what I thought it said. And he repeated me, and within minutes from that, it just became like you just felt this energy come into the room. That was like evil. It felt like an evil presence came in there, honestly. And we just looked at each other and we were like, what the hell? But we kept reading it anyway. Because y'all, I don't scare easy. Like, even if something scary happens, I will keep, you know, doing what I'm doing. And plus the book had said to do that if anything happens outside of your circle, y'all, we didn't even cast a circle. Okay, but it says in the book, if anything happens outside of the circle, it's just these spirits trying to distract you, trying to stop you from doing your ritual. So you're just supposed to ignore it and keep going. So we just kept reading the spell anyways. And then the next thing that we know, y'all, my window was open, the one that my friend's back was to. He was literally like 1 foot away from it. I opened the window before we began because I had all these candles burning and like incense smoke and stuff, and I was not about to sit in that room and breathe in all that smoke, so I had the window open. I did not have a screen on my window, so it was just open to the outside. It was like open like this much, y'all, with no screen there. And the next thing that we know, we hear this growling coming from outside the window. And I mean, it sounds like you know, like a dog, but more sinister, more evil than I've ever heard a dog growl before. And, you know, for it to just be right outside the window like that was very odd, because at that time I lived in an apartment complex, and people weren't even allowed to have dogs there. So in the back of my house, which is where my window faced, was just huge fields that, like farming fields and shit. So it was just really bizarre and scary to just hear this growling sound from outside the window. Like, it sounded like it was right there by the window. And we're like, these young beginner witches, excuse me, they really have no idea what we're doing, dabbling with this kind of magic. And we just hear that, and the window's just open with no screen, and it's just to the outside. And it's like pitch dark outside. I think it was a dark moon even. So we just hear this scary growling, and my friend like jumps up off the bed because his back was right to the window, and he like runs across the room, and like he's horrified, and I just like sat in the bed. I mean, it scared me too, but I didn't like jump or anything. I was just like there, like frozen in fear, staring out the window, like thinking, is this shit gonna come in here? What did we just do? We stopped reading the spell. It was really bizarre. And then next, we hear it growl again after we were both staring at the window. And he's like on the other side of me now. And we're just like staring at the window. We hear it growl again, and we're like, oh shit, you know, it's gonna kill us and all this. And so we go to the bedroom door and we try to open it, and it's like it will not open, and no one else was home, y'all. My door didn't have a lock on it or anything like that that could even explain, you know, that it might have locked itself or something. But no, there wasn't even a lock on that door. It just wouldn't open, y'all. It was like something was holding the door shut. Like you couldn't even turn the doorknob. It was like something was holding the doorknob still, even from the outside, and you could just feel something literally holding it because we were pulling on the door, and it was like something was holding the door shut from the outside. And we're like, you know, what the fuck is going on and all this. So finally I built up enough courage to go shut the window, and after that I like blow all the candles out, I turn the light on, you know, I put everything off, and I put the book and I wrap it in black cloth, and I'm just like, you know, like fuck this or whatever, what the fuck. And then so it was after all of that, finally the door just opened. We were able to open it, and at that time my mom was at a friend's house who also lived in the same apartment complex, but like way at the other end. And I'm just like, I'm gonna go get her. I'm not gonna wait here for her to come back, because y'all, she was at like a party with her friends. So, and like I told y'all, my mom is a witch and all that. You already know all this, but I was like, I'm gonna go run and fucking get her down the street and shit. And my friend is like, no, don't leave. You shouldn't go outside, because we heard it out there. And like those apartments, you go out the door and it's like a breezeway, and then like stairs upstairs, across is another apartment, upstairs above us is an apartment, across is an apartment, and to the right side it just goes like to the outside, to that field and shit, like that right there. And so my friend was like telling me, no, don't go out there, it's gonna get you, like, oh my god, don't go. And I'm like, fuck this, I'm not gonna stay in this house and wait for something else to happen. So I was like, I'm gonna go run and get her. As soon as I open the door, y'all, and I run out there, my friend's like, I'm just gonna wait here. And I'm like, okay. So I run out the door, he shuts it behind me, and I like run down the sidewalk, and I get a little less than halfway across the apartment, and my mom is like already walking towards the apartment, and she's like, what did you do? Y'all, that's how she greeted me. She was just like, what did you do? She like knew. And then I told her what happened. We went back inside. Me and my friend explained to her what we did and what happened and stuff. And she's like, well, y'all didn't cast a circle. Y'all didn't do this. Y'all didn't do that. Like, she just knew everything that we did wrong. And she told us. And she's like, it's not anything that's going to harm you. It was just a watcher spirit that you're just supposed to give that spirit an offering before you do any kind of work from this book. And so, of course, we didn't follow the rules, and so that spirit was letting us know that, you know, it was hungry, it wanted its offering, and if we didn't give it one, it was going to try to feed on us. So she's like, I'm going to have to go out there and banish it. So she goes out, she grabs a sword, y'all, like a ritual sword, and she goes out there in the backyard by herself, and she banishes it. And that was like one of my first experiences with spirits and knowing that they're real. And that it's not something to trifle with. Let me see how much time I have left on this. Alright, it's at 16 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm like obsessed with checking the camera now because I hate this time limit, y'all. Let me share y'all another experience. I know it's going to cut off within a few minutes, but I'll just do a part 2 to this video. But the next experience was with that same friend, and he had come over to my house one night, and he was telling me about some of his other friends that were getting involved with something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but basically he told me that one of his friends, that was a girl, was under some kind of a magical attack from another witch. And I was like, this was like a year or so later, and so I was more like sure of myself with magic and stuff like that. And I was like, well, you know, what's gonna go down was that supposedly this guy was messing with this girl, and they were supposedly at this cemetery in town. And he was trying to do some kind of spells on her or something like that. So I was like, okay, you know, she needs our help, let's go. And like, you know, stand up for her, let's go help her, basically. So it was like the middle of the night, and he called another one of his friends and got him involved. And y'all, this guy that I'm talking about, that was my friend, it turns out he was like just one of these people that likes to cause drama. But just imagine a witch flavored person who's like that. So over the years I ended up realizing, you know, I don't have to get involved with every bit of drama he brings to my door, but you know, for the sake of the story, at that time I didn't really know that well. So I decided to help. So we go. It's me, him, and his other friend that I did not know. I didn't know any of these other people. I just knew him. And so we're going to the cemetery on our bikes. You know, we like pedal across town and shit. At night, we get to the cemetery and there's like no one there. And we're just like, okay, what the fuck? But at the same time, this cemetery like goes, you know, back into some woods and shit, and there's still graves back there. So we're like, okay, what if they're, you know, in the back or something, or what if he's doing something to her back there? So we decide to walk into the cemetery and, you know, towards the backwoods. And we get to like this certain spot there. And, excuse me, I'm walking in front of the other guys, and there's like this huge tree, and I suddenly just stop because I'm like, what the fuck is that? And it's like, I see this being like peeking out at me like this from around the tree, from behind the tree. It has its hands like on the tree like this, and it's like head